raid in Colorado. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. The Drug Enforcement Administration leading that raid.
More than 100 illegal aliens were arrested during a major drug bust at an illegal underground nightclub frequented by MS-13 and Trinidad gang members, according to federal authorities. The raid happened in Colorado Springs. Attorney General Pam Bondi says cocaine, meth, and pink cocaine were seized and 2 people were arrested on existing warrants during this raid. Guns were also found. Over 300 members of federal law enforcement, along with local agencies, carried out this operation.
Fox's Christina Coleman, the active duty service members allegedly acting as security for the makeshift nightclub were handed over to the Army Criminal Investigations Division. Protesters are demanding the FBI drop its case against a judge arrested for allegedly harboring an illegal immigrant. Fox's Caroline Elliott with details.
More pushback on the arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan, with protesters delivering this message at the FBI office outside of Milwaukee.
We are out here today with a message for the FBI, for the DOJ, for President Trump himself. And that message is, drop the charges, stop the raids, stop the deportation.
The second day in a row that activists called for the FBI to drop charges against Judge Dugan. She's facing obstruction charges after investigators say she helped an undocumented migrant evade ICE agents in the courthouse, then forcing agents to chase him down on the street.
The Mexican migrant facing battery charges. The tomb of Pope Francis is open to the public at St. Mary Major Basilica in Rome. Catholics are filing past the simple white tomb during the second official day of mourning. America is listening to Fox News.
This is Jimmy Fallon, inviting you to join me for Fox Across America, where we'll discuss every single one of the Democrats' dumb ideas. Just kidding. It's only a 3-hour show. Listen live at noon Eastern or get the podcast at foxacrossamerica.com.
11 are dead, dozens injured in Vancouver, British Columbia, after an SUV drove through a crowded street festival last night. Acting Police Chief Steve Rise says there is a 30-year-old suspect.
That male was taken into custody at the scene by the crowd. It was a Filipino community event. The crowd immediately called police. We then took custody of the subject.
Authorities say the suspect doesn't appear to have any terrorism ties. He's known to police and has a history of mental health issues. Video of the aftermath of the attack shows the dead and injured along a narrow street lined by food trucks. At least one person is dead, 11 others injured after a Saturday shooting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Officers observed a disturbance and involving multiple people. During the altercation, one individual fired a weapon. President Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky meeting in Rome. While both were attending the funeral of Pope Francis, they discussed how to end the war with Russia.
Russia and Ukraine, I think they're coming along, we hope. Very fragile.
On Friday, the president sounded hopeful, saying most major points of a deal have been agreed to after U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. But in a Truth Social post, the president is voicing fresh concerns that Putin might not want to stop the fighting, pointing to Russia's attacks on civilian areas. All of this comes as the president appears ready to hand a major concession to the Kremlin, saying in a Time magazine interview that Crimea will stay with Russia.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. A recent attack on Ukraine's capital killed at least 12 people, injured at least 90, and that included children. I'm Kathleen Maloney. This is Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey there, it's me, Kennedy. Make sure to check out my podcast, Kennedy Saves the World. It is 5 days a week, every week. Download and listen at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
PHI is your local pharmacy serving customers in Cagman, Garapan, and Dandan since 1996. Shop PHI Pharmacy for all your prescriptions, and we even offer a large line of multivitamin supplements. Our Dandan location is open weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 4 on weekends. Or visit our Garapan and Cagman locations weekdays from 8 to 6 and 8 to 1 on Saturdays. Check us out online at phipharmacy.com or follow us on Facebook. PHI is a locally owned independent community Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings. To Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news. From a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on Good Morning, Marianas.
Good morning, Marianas! Holy moly, it's a Monday morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show. We got a big day lined up for you, and holy smokes, do we have a lot. I mean, not just in the show, but as soon as the show is over, we have so much going on. But it's got to get started right now. You are looking down at Beach Road in Oleai on this Monday morning. It is a nice one, too. You cannot beat it. I'll tell you what, it is dry season, but we're actually looking pretty good out here with a little bit of a sprinkle overnight to keep us a little bit dust-free. Kind of knock some of the dust off my car. It's 83 degrees outside right now. Humidity at a nice 77% up there at the Saipan International Airport. And that's what's making it beautiful out here. Look at that traffic on that nice road. That's mostly done. Not all the way yet. Anyway, we're looking at isolated showers today, but other than that, mostly sunny skies. High near 88. And winds out of the east at 14 miles per hour. It's going to be a little bit windy. We got gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. And if you enjoy a nice little breeze, you're going to enjoy it because all night long, it's going to be a little bit breezy as well. Keep that air conditioner turned off. That's the best way to save, because that fuel price just went up by 10 cents again. Thank you, Mobil. We love that. Last thing we want to do is not pay you an extra 10 cents per gallon. Record profits? Who? What? Where? Yeah. Anyway, hey, tomorrow's going to be pretty nice, too. Mostly sunny skies, high near 87, and winds out of the east 10 to 13 miles per hour. All right, well, that's what we got for your weather. Let's take a look at traffic right now. And the traffic is not bad at all. It's actually, this is like ideal. This is the best day ever when it comes to all this traffic stuff. How good is it? Well, we're going to find out here in just a sec. All right, so, wait, where did that go? My goodness. Wait, let's snap a finger. Kapow! There you go. Now you can at least see it in the background. All right, we're actually looking pretty good. That's the intersection right out in front of us. You can see in the top right corner of your screen that everything's moving along just fine, and that is exactly what this map is showing you right now. And it's only getting a little bit slow, and when you're trying to make your way to Middle Road from Beach Road. That's the only spot right there, and it's not even that bad. I wouldn't even complain about it. I would say that's pretty good. We've seen much worse. All right. The intersection that matters, where connections matter, that's pretty good over there at at Middle Road and John Monsignor Guerrero. It's looking good all over the place. Why? Because it's 7:21. It's still early, turkeys. That's right. Now, it is starting to slow down a little bit over there in Chalumpi. If you're trying to get your kids to school over at Hopwood or over at WSR, that's got to be the busy street for it. If you look all along Route 32, that's it. No traffic along Texas Road, but you can see that is definitely going to be somewhere that's going to be slow as people try to get down there. That intersection isn't that bad because of construction just yet. The whole area is just still kind of rough from it. But this is the time people are trying to get their kids to school. All right, let's look. Oh, man, Joe Monsignor Martinez looking pretty good, too, as we go along. A little bit slow over there by SIS and Food Stamp. It's toward the end of the month. Not sure why it would be so slow over there, but it is starting to get to that drop-off time to get your kids to school. How about we head over by the Iglesia Ni Cristo? Yeah, that's right, Sheldon. It is a little bit slow in either direction, but nothing too big to worry about. The home of the Canaries. You can see there's a lot of cars over in that area as people are trying to get their kids to San Vicente Elementary School. Let's get around the back road, Issa Drive. It's actually pretty sweet. This is like the best time to be driving right now. If you're not at work yet, now's the time. Hop in your car. You can get there. It's going to be the best. Over there by Cagman, the road looks fine too. And then over in the shopping district over here in Saipan, that's right, Capitol Hill Market, Sarah Market. Ooh, whoa. New Sarah Market and Zenu Market. All that looks great. Nobody's even stopping in there for merienda or anything today. Today, traffic is just chill. It's looking pretty good over there by the tennis courts, too. Or should I call them the pickleball courts? because there's a whole lot of pickleball going on this weekend and next weekend. It's Gio's second annual birthday bash. We'll have more for that. We're going to show you this week for sure. And but Joe Monsignor Guerrero might be a little bit busy, but the rest of Middle Road, not too bad until you start creeping toward Gualarai. That's right. Everybody heading south on Middle Road, getting toward Gualarai. It is a little bit slow. I mean, like a lot slow. That's got to be your school bus section right there. It's also a little slow as you're getting closer to Quartermaster Drive. And other than that, when you try to get over there by Coca-Cola, it's slowing down a little bit too. And now it's starting to get a little bit of traffic as folks trying to get their way through Chalanquidza. Other than that, though, really not that bad. It's still moving pretty good. That's your first look at traffic and weather. And we even got you your news update from the mainland. And that's the hardest thing to do on a Monday because we're regular guys from Associated Press don't have it for you. So we are going to be good to go this morning. I love it. This is a good day. It's going to be even better. We got guests coming in this morning. The guests are going to be celebrating the reunion for the Peace Corps out here in the NMI. That's right. We're going to have guests in studio today from the Peace Corps. I can't tell you. It's so exciting that we're going to have them in here. These are folks who basically lived a life of service out here in the Marianas. And now they're going to be coming out here to kind of reconnect with some of the folks that they met over the years while they were here, taking care of everybody and, and doing what they thought was the best for the country and for the community. Gotta absolutely love it. They're going to be in here in just a little bit. Today, after the show is done, we're going to be going over to Marianas High School, and we're going to be speaking to a bunch of students about how you read and how you pay attention to the media. That's right. This is going to be, hold on, what's it called again, the name of the class? Sorry. I love this. I'm laughing because I'm looking at the conversation that we had about this. But we're going to be teaching them a little bit about media, best practices, and how you evaluate what you read. A little bit about critical thinking. And the main point that we're going to drive home, at least what I'm going to drive home, hopefully, is that they form their own opinions, the students. Don't just take the article's slant and make it your own. Make your own. Take the facts out of it and know what's the fact and know what's an opinion. You can definitely tell it. In every story, you can tell the opinion. And when you look at other parts about that news outlet, you can find out what their slant is, for sure. Especially by their consistent reporting in a certain way and all that. You could tell where a reporter's leaning or where a editor's leaning and all that kind of stuff. You could absolutely tell it. You're not supposed to really tip your hand with all that stuff, but I mean, it happens. You know, you can't, it just happens. That's how it is. So we're going to talk to them a little bit about that. Like, for instance, I'll tell you what, so it's so funny. I had someone at the soccer field who's not from Saipan came up to me and said, "Hey, Brad, you're in the news. Is there some kind of beef or bad blood between the governor and the editor of he didn't say the editor. Well, actually, he did. He said the editor of the Marianas Variety." I'm like, yeah, there may be a little something there. I told him, I'm like, hey, I just think that he was a fan, of the previous governor, and not as big of a fan of the current governor. But he's like, yeah, because it seems like there's always something. I'm like, what are you going to do? I mean, like, it's there. You can see it, for sure. Oh, man. By the way, I am wondering what happened to the ticker over here. Did it just fall off? Is it not high enough? What's going on? Oh, you know what? I know it. Bam. We're going to see it. There we go. Hold on. A couple more clicks. There we go. Got it. Magic and sloop. Boom. Hey, and by the way, that's no dig on anybody. But what that is to say that you can tell how somebody feels about somebody. And the reason why he spoke about it, he was talking about the editorial. When you're writing an editorial, that's different. You can write whatever you want. That is your opinion piece, right? So you got it all there, right there. But there's definitely, there's some drum banging. But I make it a habit, I make it a practice to not talk about somebody else's reporting, or the way they write, like in a negative fashion or something like that. I did that probably about 20 years ago. I did. I mean, I really did. But I wasn't. I was a reporter then too. Right? It was just before I left the Tribune, and there was one person I was banging the drum on a little bit back then. But that was that's a lot of water under that bridge. A lot of water that's gone over that dam. Yeah, it's totally fine. But now, same thing. I'm not. That's what I'm going to be talking to those kids about. Form your own opinion. Be able to discern the difference between what somebody is writing as fact and what is opinion. And then if they quote sources, find out more about those sources. I never take it for granted when someone say, studies show that blah, blah, blah. All right, great, thanks. What studies? All right, then you find out what those studies are. You go and you find the source of those studies, and then you look it up. Then you got to find out who conducted those studies. And find out who is funding them, who funds those studies, who funds their organization, what's their history about. Because if you find a study that says milk is, studies have shown that milk is healthier for children and adults all the way up through blah, 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 blah. Well, if the study says it was conducted by the dairy farmers of Micronesia, it's going to tell you something. It's going to tell you. Like if we tell you that study, a new report from the Haircut Institute of the Marianas shows that men with shorter haircuts live more successful lives, brought to you by the industry of Brad Rosales' same haircut that he's had since 1990. I mean, that would not be a study you want to listen to. You do not want to pay attention to that. It's going to be a little biased. Probably. Anyway, I'm looking forward to doing that. That's going to be a great time today. And always love to do that. Before we even get to that, though, in about a half an hour, we're going to have Kurt Barnes, the man, the myth, the legend. Don't tell me he's not a legend, because he absolutely is. He's going to be coming in here and talking to us about his experience with the Peace Corps. And, boy, I got to tell you, I got to pull up the comments. He's bringing someone else in with him, Bert something, who I don't know. I don't think I've met before. So that'll be pretty neat. Oh, yes. Hold on one second. Yes. We were talking about it on the show this morning. Can you call us now? Question mark. I'll tell you what we're talking about here in just a second, folks. Oh, yes. Oh, come on. You're wondering, why am I doing this? Trust me, this is worth it. I think this is worth it. We saw a post today, and we saw it last night, actually. And I really wanted to get to it because it was interesting to me, and it got me to want to look up a whole bunch of different stuff. But the post that we saw was somebody who is not happy about their experience, and I'm trying to see if I can't get them to come on the show right now. They just messaged. They posted last night, and we messaged when we saw it and said, "Hey, would you message us? We'd want to talk to you about it." And man, this is about someone's experience swimming and snorkeling, not fishing, in the sanctuary. Now, it's the Forbidden Island Sanctuary. Did you see this? It's the Forbidden Island Sanctuary, and this post was someone who was just really not happy about it. And I can understand it, for sure. When I saw it, we'll see. Let me pull up on the share screen so we could go through this post. What I really want to do, though, is rather than tell you this, I want to have the person involved give us a call on the show. Hopefully, we'll get them in here. We'll see if the phone rings. We just messaged them back. They just messaged us, and we just messaged back to see if they can call us. We got the phone on the ready in case they do. And then we've also got the message open. It says, "Oh, okay, can you please give me a few minutes? I need to do something real quick first." Yes, sure. I have people coming on at 8. So please call as soon as you can. All right, this is great. This is exactly it. So now you can see that's the message right there. That's exactly what we want to get to. All right. So anyway, we saw this post yesterday, and you can see it right there. When you use that many caps, you're not happy about something, right? Fair to say. So, and this is it. It says, I want to share this with all the locals and tourists. I'm not bashing Fish and Wildlife. I'm respectfully just trying my best way to make people aware, just giving my people a flag before they make a mistake. Spreading awareness because I feel sorry for anyone who's next. Many cars got impounded for not for fishing, even the tourists. Not for fishing, but for having just a mask and fins at the sanctuary, and they had done by Fish and Wildlife. Now, this is the kind of stuff that I got to hear about, because this sounds wild to me. So I don't even think we could swim there because they mentioned you can't swim. And we can't swim at Managaha anymore? He said, I'm shocked and I'm surprised. We're all getting automatically impounded just for having masks and fins. I just wish there's consideration for people and the tourists because we haven't been aware of this law only now. As locals, we just go to any beach to swim whatsoever. And let's be real, majority doesn't even read those signs. We've been doing this all our lives. Just naturally going to the beach. And on a good day, to swim. We understand that this is the law, but we definitely know that only now, oh geez, that one just popped up. That only now they're being really strict in enforcing it because we were in shock. We've been doing this all our lives. Never in our life have we ever heard of a car getting impounded or having been impounded for having fins and a mask. But us locals do know you're definitely not supposed to fish. And that's what we all know. Come on. We've only heard boats, fishing gears confiscated all our life at Sanctuary. They should have consideration for not only the people, but also for the tourists. I mean, first, a warning. With this economy right now, and it's so hard for everyone, damn, do you understand it's been the law? But of course people aren't used to this, so they should have some consideration or a warning, especially with this economy. And for the tourists, it must be sad for them, a way to scare them off. All we need is some empathy, man. This is crazy. Where do we get all the money for this? And again, understand, this is the law, and if it has been for many years, but we, the people, haven't been aware of this because this is the first we've ever encountered this. We only knew fishing and fishing gears are strictly prohibited. If this will be the new enforcements on Saipan, then we need an update of at least a bigger sign for no mask, no fins, etc. Because this is new to the people. For the people. We locals just go to any beach and swim with our masks or fins for the longest time. If they know only now that they'll be strictly enforcing this more than before, then they should know that it's also new for the people and for the tourists. They should block all sanctuaries at this point now and put bigger highlighted signs for any swimming equipment. We need some consideration because we are all struggling right now. This is so unfair. Does anyone hear us? Genuinely, we're so clueless about this. Man, all we ask is to be heard and understood. For the locals, you know? This is our home and our right. We feel completely, or in our home. So this is new to us. I know we're not the only ones. So this is the post that we saw last night. And hopefully we'll get that phone call here in just a little bit. Just let them know that, hey, we've got someone coming in here at 8 o'clock. So if they can call us soon. I know they're going to be hustling. They said they just asked for a few minutes because they need to do something first. But, hey, that's a big deal. Could you imagine? And when I think of what they were talking about there, the Forbidden Island Sanctuary. You know what I think about Forbidden Island Sanctuary? I think of Forbidden Island. No. This is the sign. Look at that. That's a beach right there. There's no sign like that down at Forbidden Island Beach. So I'm like, wait, where the heck is this thing? Where could this possibly be? All right. Great question you asked yourself, Brad. So I go online, Forbidden Island Marine Sanctuary. And this crazy, it's not a big enough picture on here, but you can see it wraps all the way around from Lau Lau all the way to Lake Tank and Marine Beach. Does this mean you can't swim at Tank Beach? Does this mean you can't swim at Marine Beach? We're going to find out. We're going to call them. And so we looked at it. So when you look at that sign, first of all, when you look at the sign right there, it's going to be hard for you to zoom in on this. I could see it, but like this is the video that they posted. It says, pursuant to Public Law 1246 and Public Law 2044, law prohibits the destruction, harassment, and or removal of plants, birds, turtles, fish, marine species of any kind, fishing in any form. All that stuff sounds normal, right, for a sanctuary. But it says operation of motorized or non-motorized watercraft. Okay. Floating or submersible, all right, or other means of aquatic transport. All that stuff sounds pretty reasonable. Then it says swimming, diving, snorkeling, or other human activity within the designated boundary of the Forbidden Island Sanctuary, except as provided by regulations. Any person who knowingly violates any of these prohibited acts shall be fined not less than $500, but not more than $10,000, and or faces imprisonment, if not more for more than 1 year. Hey, come on in, come on in. So that's where we got to go in and look at those laws to find out what they're talking about provided by the regulation. Because if that's it, like if there's more to it, I'm popping back just to see, by the way. If there's more to it there, like where it says that you're allowed to swim, but like right there, that can't be possible that you're not allowed to swim. You guys are going to be where those chairs were, though. No, we'll get you reset up. But where I had the chairs, that's where you guys are going to have. I'll fix it for you in a little bit. By the way, it's great to see you. Great to see you. So, yeah, you can't tell me that people are not allowed to swim from Lau Lau all the way around to Tanka Marine Beach. There's no way. There's no way, because there's no way that people would be happy about it. It's not like I go swimming out there anyway all the time. But like, really? You can't go swimming over there? Come on. That's not right. That can't be what it is. And even if they do, impounding cars, did they really impound vehicles? That's what we want to hear about here in a little bit. That's why we want to get that phone call. And if we don't get that call, we're going to end up calling DLNR. I mean, they might not be there at 7:40 this morning. But I mean, that's kind of a big deal. Can you imagine not being able to drive? Or not, like, you go out swimming with the family over at Marine Beach or Tank Beach, and someone comes back and says, hey, you can't use masks and snorkels in the water, so we're going to take your gear. Also, we're going to impound your car. Now, if you also have a pachinko, that's different, right? You're going to get pinched. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be fishing in the MPAs. But what's the real deal on this one? So what we're looking for first is for the person who posted this to call us here in a little bit. So hopefully they could be here pretty quick. Janira Marianas. We're hoping for Janira to give us a call, because that all sounds like a reasonable thing. Like that sounds reasonable. Then we go to the authority folks and we ask them. So, and then again, we go to the MPAs, right? Let's switch over. Show you that again. So here's the public law. We'll open this in another tab and we'll look at it. It says the Forbidden Island Marine Sanctuary was created along with the Bird Island Marine Sanctuary by Public Law 12-46 in April of 2001. And they did that in order to promote the concept of conserving and protecting natural resources, to serve as a natural laboratory for the continued propagation of wildlife and marine species, which gradually and naturally can repopulate depopulated areas. Okay, sounds good. And provide a laboratory for students, teachers, and research groups to study wildlife and marine species. Okay, sounds good. Now, here's stuff that deals more with this in particular. It says the Forbidden Island Marine Sanctuary is a no-take MPA, that's a marine protected area, which meaning that human activities such as fishing, feeding fish, and collecting sand and shells are all prohibited. Right? That sounds like it makes sense, right? Yeah. Damaging coral is also prohibited here. The Forbidden Island Marine Sanctuary is managed under the framework of the Cagman Wildlife Conservation Area and Forbidden Island Marine Sanctuary Management Plan. Okay, I got it. We might have to look up this other law now that's said on the sign. It says the Forbidden Island Sanctuary extends 1,000 feet offshore, following the shoreline of the Cagman Wildlife Conservation Area and includes Tank Beach and Forbidden Island. It's bordered by the Lau Lau Bay Sea Cucumber Sanctuary. 60% of the sanctuary shoreline consists of fringing reefs, which at their widest point near Forbidden Island extend as much as 100 meters from the shore, so it's like 300 feet out. Together, the Forbidden Island Sanctuary and the Cagman Wildlife Conservation Area encompass 440 hectares of land and sea. The Forbidden Island Overlook and the associated beach trail are considered some of the premier ecotourism sites. Okay, blah, 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 right? But that's the big thing here. So now that's 12-46. When we look at that sign, and here's the law here. Remember, it said on that sign, except for, hold on, let's open that up again. Except for, there it is. Except as provided by regulation. So let's see if it says anything that allows people to swim on it, or if it says specifically where they can't swim. And, you know, we might have to dig in a little bit deeper. It's only a 3-page thing here. Prohibited activities, there we go. Destruction, harassment, or removal of plants, wildlife, including birds, turtles, fish, and marine species of any kind, fishing in any form, operation of jet skis, walking on the exposed reef, the harvesting or removal of fish, shellfish, marine wildlife is in any form prohibited within the confines. Okay, that sounds good. So according to this, there's nothing about fishing. Sorry, there's a lot about fishing. There's nothing about swimming in this one. Nothing at all in the prohibited activities. Doesn't say anything about masks or fins, right? All right, so now let's go to this other one again, what it says on the sign. 20-44, all right? So we're going to pull that up. And by the way, I'll put this up here so you guys can see how this works too. One of the great things that we got going for us in the CNMI, it's so easy to find our laws. So CNMI Public Law 20-44. And bam, so it's going to kick us over. There's public law right there, Division of Fish and Wildlife. And what it does, it opens up a PDF. So it'll download it. So this one's 13 pages. Okay, that's a bunch. All right, so let's go through. A lot of it's just saying, I'm so proud that we're going to do this. Okay, here's the law. All right, now let's see if we find a similar thing that talks about prohibited activities. All right, this one has it. So wait, who authored this law, by the way? Does it say? No, that just says who did it. It was signed, but who initiated, I don't know. But check this out. Because I saw it. I just saw it, and you guys might have seen it just now, too. And I'll zoom this in because you might want to read it a little bit bigger. This is it. This is by the 20th legislature. And again, what's the date? This is January of 2018. Okay. So this is talking about all these other handicraft things and all that other stuff. So let's go in here. It's about the sanctuaries. The day-to-day administration and management of the marine conservation and sanctuary areas shall be assigned by the division director of the 3rd Senatorial District, that's here, and the resident directors of the 1st and 2nd, that's wrote into me. However, the division director and the resident directors through the department may coordinate and assist with all these other things, blah, blah, blah. Function deemed, where is it? If to exercise such functions deemed prudent or necessary by the department or the performance of such functions. Okay. So, again, this part is what we already know. No harvesting or catching of fish or other marine life or natural resources within the designated boundary of the conservation areas, except as approved by regulation for scientific research, cultural or traditional practices, educational studies, recreational, or limited personal consumption. All right, so that's one. Let's go to letter B. This one's about like the watercraft and all that. It says that no motorized or non-motorized watercraft, floating, submersible, by other means, all that other stuff. We got to skip that. Well, actually, this one talks about Managaha specifically. It says no swimming, diving, snorkeling, or other human activity shall be permitted within the conservation areas except as provided by the regulations. So I wonder what the regulations say. So let's see if there's something in there that says you can. It says the division may further prohibit by citation, order, rule, or regulation any activity excuse me, which in any way would make significantly negative or long-lasting impact on the conservation areas or sanctuaries. The DLNR is authorized to continue to promulgate regulations to prohibit activities that would cause harm. Okay, got it. This is about fees for folks being in the areas and all that. Now let's see, it says as these are about the fines, and we're about halfway through the legislation there. We're going through to see if there's any way that these things can be rolled back or what the regulations allow for people for swimming. No, nothing there. Conservation Enforcement Officer is authorized. Okay, here we go. This is interesting too, especially with regards to what they talked about with the cars. It says the Conservation Enforcement Officer is authorized to search any person found within the conservation or sanctuary area to seize any gear, supplies, or equipment used in commission of violating regulation, permit, or order under this, such as gear, supplies, or equipment will be returned. Oh, such gear, supplies, or equipment will be returned pursuant to the item of this section. It says once the violation is mitigated or addressed. It says any gear, supplies, or equipment may be auctioned by them to pay that. It doesn't say anything about vehicles, right? That's why we got to hear from this person to find out what happened with vehicles being impounded. Like, that means they took their car, right? And that's what they're saying. And this deals with where all the money goes to and all that. And how they can purchase things, hiring, prohibited activities. Oh. Repealed and reenacted. All right. Let's see if they change this. This is interesting. They changed it under prohibited activities. Let's go up here real quick just to find out if that's the same one that we talked about just now. We talked about the prohibited activities, right? Under 1634, right? It said that you can't do any of that stuff. But we go down to 1644. And it says, repealed and reenacted to read. Destruction, harassment, harvesting, and or removal of plants, wildlife, including birds, turtles, fish, shellfish, coral, and other marine species in any form. The use of motorized and non-motorized watercraft, floating or submersible marine equipment, or other means of aquatic transport or walking on the reef in any form is prohibited within the confines of these designated areas as a sanctuary, except as allowed by regulation for enforcement, scientific, and educational purposes, authorized recreational purposes, including marine sports and activities, or the transport of persons and all that other stuff. Doesn't say anything about swimming. Doesn't say you can't swim. And then it goes all the way down to the bottom. So it seems a little bit conflicting for me that from 1634 to 1644, one says you can, or one doesn't say you can't do it, and one does say you can't do it. And so we're going to end up going to the tape on that one and talk to the folks from DLNR to say, hey, what's the deal? What happened? We had someone come in and say there were vehicles impounded and all this other stuff. I'm just going to quick over here real quick just to see if they have a message back again. Calling soon? Question mark? No. Okay, thank you. Well, someone said they would call before 8. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. But we're pretty close to, I mean, our 8 o'clock guest is here. and we want to get to this too. But here's what we do want to do. We want to hear from, we definitely want to hear from Janira to find out what the heck happened. I mean, again, it sounded like their car was impounded for swimming at Lake Tank Beach in Cagman. And we read the regulations. There's nothing that says you can't have your car. Oh, all right, great. She's about to call. You get to be present for this. This is gonna be great. Is Bert coming too, right? Al. Oh, Al.
Yeah, he's coming.
Okay, cool, great. All right, so, man, this is the blood pumping conversation to get you going, to really find out what happened. So we're waiting for you, Janira. Don't worry, you don't have to brush your teeth. We can't smell your breath on the phone. Yeah, and you could do, I can tell you, if you wanted to do a video call, you could. If you want to do a video call, I'll give you a different number to WhatsApp me at. But if you just want to do the phone call, that's fine. And I'd love to hear from you guys, too. By the way, there's so many of you guys in the comments that I haven't gotten to yet. Sorry. I am thankful to all of you guys. We didn't really... Look, I'm just seeing them now. Pretty soon we're going to get a fine for farting on the beach. Yeah, I'll never be able to afford those. Nice feeling. Hey, by the way, while we wait for this phone call real quick, I want to say thank you to all you guys. It's a little bit of a total separation for what we're talking about just for a moment. I want to say thanks to all of you guys. We hit 10,000 followers over the weekend. Holy cow! I mean, 10,000 followers for the NMI News Service, and it's all because of you and the stuff that you guys send us, the stuff you're telling us about. You're giving us the stories that we can go follow, and it's from this show. It's from the shows that people are putting on our little network here, our platform, and all of it's starting to really come together, and it's really exciting. And none of this is possible without you guys. All right, Janira is calling now. Just waiting for the ringing to start, and but this is great. So get ready. Here we go. Holidays on Tiro. Is this Janira?
Yes. Good morning.
Janira, am I pronouncing it right?
Yes, Janira.
Janira, hey, thanks so much for calling. I saw your post, and I'm like, holy cow. What is going on here in Saipan? And so I did read your post to everybody, but can we go through it and talk about it again? Can you tell everybody what happened?
Yeah, no problem. So yesterday was really crazy. I wasn't the one swimming, but I got a call from my boyfriend to rescue him. He's like, they're going to impound my car, and I was like, what? I was freaking out for what? And then he told me, no, we were just swimming here at Tank Beach. And apparently you can't have any stints or mass anymore, or else they're going to automatically impound your car. And I was freaking out because this is our first time to ever hear this or encounter this. Like, just automatically impounding your car. We've never heard of that our whole life. Because they've been swimming there ever since their whole life, and that's just crazy. So I rushed down there just to see what's happening, and I talked to the lady in charge, and she was explaining to me that this has always been the law. And I was confused. I was like, this has always been the law, but why is this the first time we ever encountered this or hear about this? And she's like, oh, I guess because, we're strictly really enforcing it now. And I was like, that's crazy because I never knew this was the law. My boyfriend never knew this was the law. My family never knew this was the law. And I guess it's been there on the sign, but only now they're really enforcing it. That's why none of the locals knew about it.
This is Al Snyder.
Wow.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. So, it's funny. We started going through the law. We went through the law and that regulation, and neither one of them said anything about a vehicle.
Yeah.
Not a single thing.
Yeah, so we're just thinking about what it says on the board, but when we got home, that's when we realized, because my boyfriend had fins and masks. He didn't have any fishing gear. He wasn't even fishing or anything.
Wow.
So when we went home, that's when we realized, wait, it doesn't even mention anything about towing or impounding a car.
Yeah, nothing at all. In fact, so when we're on there, so we went on their website and we checked out the two things that because you put, you got a nice video of the sign, right? So it talked about Public Law 12-46, and it also talked about 20-44, I think. Whatever, because that's the one we were just looking at. Yeah, 20-44. And neither one of them had any mention to a vehicle, but they did talk about being able to take like the gear. But there is even a provision for getting that back to you as well once everything's been mitigated and or addressed and or mitigated. And that was one of the hairy things about it, is that it sounds like, by the wording in there, it makes it sound like what you were asking for is possible, in that where there could be a warning, right?
Because I know many locals aren't aware of this. You know how locals are. We don't really read the signs when we go to the beach because this is our home. We just go there and we swim.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a while. It's been a long time. We've never heard about anybody getting their car impounded. So right now we're really shocked. And even other people got their car impounded and they're really shocked too. We're just trying to understand. We understand that if it's the law, then maybe they should find ways to make it better well known to the people, because I don't think most of the people even realize this only now when they're really being strict about it.
Well, you know, I think you're right. So this law was passed in 2018, and it doesn't look like this is the very first time I've heard of anything like that. Now, I know that there are people who have gotten in trouble for fishing in the MPAs. I know there are people who got in trouble for like turtles and stuff like that, but not for swimming and not getting your car impounded for swimming.
Yeah, that's why we freaked out, because we've always heard about fishing gears getting confiscated, boats getting confiscated, and all of that. But we've never heard about a personal car getting confiscated just for swimming. We've only thought that if you caught fishing, then your gears would be confiscated. Just now, I realize that, I guess, because they're strictly enforcing it now, which is why I hope they actually give consideration for the people, you know, give at least a first warning, because I know for sure everybody on the island, most of all the locals aren't aware of this, and they're probably going to be next, you know, if they go to that beach and swim. And I guess I'm sorry for them, because this is so crazy. Yesterday, some people even flip out. I mean, who would have the patience for this? You know, I'm not bashing Fish and Wildlife. I just want to spread awareness to the people, because I know that most people won't be aware of this since they just started strictly enforcing it now.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing up the issue at all, right? Because you're the one who made the post to put it out there. Otherwise, people wouldn't be hearing about this. Our viewers might not have heard about it. And, you know, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal, especially with this economy right now. I know everybody's really struggling. You know, I really feel sorry for the people. I just hope everywhere, like, they give consideration, especially for the tourists. There was a tourist that got their car impounded yesterday for having symptoms. And
wow. So there were multiple vehicles that were taken away?
Just a few, about like four.
Four? That's crazy.
One of them was a tourist, and I felt really sorry for them, because this is their first time here on this island. That's what a great impression for us, you know, when they go back. I mean, that's not a great impression, but, you know, that's just really sad for them. They have to go back. Police have to drop them back.
Wow. Well, it sounds yeah, and like you said, I mean, like in your post, you were talking about, like, holy cow, you know, for tourists and with the economy that we got going on, what's that doing for us right now with them, right? So this is not a welcome to Saipan moment for folks who go to a beach that are being told, oh, you can't swim here. Like, you would think that there would be a big giant sign that says no swimming. Even when we look at this, it's in that fine print at the bottom.
Yeah, it's just a big black space, and then at the bottom that's where it says the law. I kindly requested them to, like, you know, add really, really bigger sign that strictly says no swimming, no fins, and all of that, so that everybody's aware. Even tourists, maybe they should put on like different languages, because they don't really, we don't know. They probably don't understand English. That's really hard for them. They came there to enjoy the beach, and they found out they couldn't swim and had to be sent home by the police. They got their rent-a-car and found it.
Hey, Janira, I speak English, and I don't look at that little piece of the sign, Like, I would walk right past it and be like, all right, it's a sanctuary. Okay, of course, I'm not going to fish here, right? But I would still think that you're able to swim, no problem.
Yeah. That's what we locals know. Our wildlife sanctuary means, like, just strictly preserving, don't take any seashells, no fishing, all of that. Just be kind to the beach. But I guess it also means that we can't swim, just stay on the land.
Well, it's crazy. We're going to be calling DLNR later, and we're going to reach out to them and find out what their official answer is on all this. I can't imagine that, like, they took 4 vehicles yesterday.
Yes, we're shocked, like total shock. I understand if it's the law, but they should understand that the people aren't really aware of this, so they should find ways to make it well known to the people before everybody slips out.
Well, I could tell you, one, there's nothing in the law that says anything about impounding a vehicle. And also, there's no way that our local legislators who made this law and our governor who signed it into law had any intent of people losing their cars for going to swim with their family and friends.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I wanted someone to reassure me on that one about impounding a car.
So now we got to find out what's next. Did they there's a fee involved with that too, right? What did they tell you? How much does it cost to get the car back?
So they mentioned to us, because one day, I think it's $120.
$120 for swimming and snorkeling with your friends. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, one day. We tried our best to talk to them and everything, because this is crazy. At least a first warning or something. I said, can we at least have a say in this or something? Sit down, talk with somebody. And yes, they told us we can have a meeting today, like around 4:30. And I mentioned too, what about the other people? I believe all the people that got their car impounded for just fishing, they really need a say in this. They need to sit down and express how they feel. Mm-hmm. So they say we can come in today at Fish and Wildlife around 4:30, and that's when we'll talk. And hopefully they release our cars, because we don't even have that. We don't even want to spend money for that, just for fishing. $120 a day.
Right.
That's crazy.
All right. So even more than that. So what precinct do you live in?
Sorry?
What precinct? What village do you stay in?
What piece they gave us?
What village do you live in?
Oh, what village do I stay in? I stay in Chinatown.
All right. So I think that's precinct 3. So you should reach out to your precinct 3 representatives to help you with this, because I'm sure they will. And you've got a lot of them. So like your House of Representatives, folks for precinct 3, or your senators from Saipan, I am sure that this was not the intent of the law or anything like that, and that you'll get some help. And you won't have to wait till 4:30. This is something where they can start making some phone calls to help you now, so that they can get in and start calling like the secretary and on down to help that out. I think that if you guys start doing that early this morning, it's going to change. If you wait till 4:30, it's the end of another day, and next thing you know, they're going to add another 120.
Yeah, fun. Thank you so much for that. I just want to say, man, we're really confused. The locals are really confused, because when they say sanctuary, we think about Marianas too. And even if it's written black and white that Marianas is something different, I just think they should make it clear to the people in a better way. Mm-hmm. Because in Marianas, you can swim, you can use fin, you can snorkel.
Right. Yeah, so what's the difference?
Yeah, it's really confusing to us.
So,
and it's more confusing that this is the first time we'll ever hear or encounter about this.
Yep, and it wraps all the way around. They talked about it being from Lao all the way over. Hey, could you do us a favor? We were able to sneak this in, but the guests that we had for this morning at 8 are here, so we're gonna have to go. But could you have our number now? Could you send us a WhatsApp of what happens, so we can keep following up and tell people what happened with you?
Yes, no problem, please. I just want to spread awareness to the people because this is crazy, like really crazy.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. And we are now, we're on the case with you guys to find out what's going to happen with this.
Hey, I just want to ask the next person, are they going to be speaking about the same situation?
Wait, say that again?
The next person that's going to speak, I heard there's going to be another person that's speaking about the same situation.
Oh, no, totally different situation.
Oh, it's a different one. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, hopefully those other people can speak up about it too, because I know we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. That's what's true.
Yeah, so nobody was fishing, they were just swimming, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Man.
It's crazy.
All right.
Island anymore.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, and we'll see. We'll let us know what happens with your conversations, and we'll let you know too.
Okay. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you too.
It helps us a lot. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye. All right, that was Janira Marianas on the phone with us, letting us know about what happened with them this weekend. I'll tell you what. Thank you, and we'll let you guys know how that phone call goes. We've got guests who are here. We're going to take a real quick break, get them all set up with the cameras and the microphones, and then we're going to be right back. So don't go anywhere. We are going to be celebrating the reunion for the NMI Peace Corps team. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Paradise Dental's giving you the gas. Well, not that kind of gas. You already know that Paradise Dental has the most affordable coverage in the entire Marianas, and now we've got something special just for new customers. And now for a limited time, Paradise Dental is offering free gas vouchers for new signups for their coverage plan. If you sign up for a singles plan, you'll get a $10 gas voucher. If you sign up for a couples plan, that's a $15 gas voucher. And if you sign up for the whole family plan, that's a $20 gas voucher right after your first visit. So hurry down to Paradise Dental and sign up for the CNMI's most affordable dental coverage today. These gas vouchers are limited, and with smiles like these, you know they're going to go fast.
Hi, I'm Shauna Brenfleck, nurse practitioner and owner of Island Skin Solutions and Wellness Clinic. We are Saipan's only medical spa offering a wide range of services to meet your unique skincare goals. We offer exclusive medical-grade skincare products that can only be purchased from a licensed medical professional. We also have the CNMI's only master esthetician who offers new patient consultations that include a mini facial tailored to your needs. Schedule your consultation today to get started on your skincare journey.
The willingness of all Americans, men and women, young and old, to serve in the Peace Corps, to serve in all parts of the world, to serve at little pay, to do jobs that most of them have never done before, is one of the most encouraging manifestations of the American spirit that this country has seen in many years. The Peace Corps gives us a chance to show a side of our country which is too often submerged. Our desire to live in peace, our desire to be of help. I hope in the coming months and years that many of you will follow the example of those who've gone before. They, I think, are serving this country well. And in a very real sense, they are serving a larger cause, the cause of freedom and the cause of a peaceful world. They are demonstrating their interest in people who may live on the other side of the globe, who may live in poverty and misery, but who, because of the presence of the Peace Corps, live in hope. I hope this spirit will grow, and that hundreds of others of young Americans and older Americans will go overseas to show our best side, to show how much we desire to live at peace. There can be no greater service to our country, and no source of pride more real than to be a member of the Peace Corps of the United States. I hope that you will join.
All right, Marianas, that was former President John Fitzgerald Kennedy speaking to the United States about the Peace Corps back in the day. And I'll tell you what, oh, geez, hold on. Kind of went into another speech right away from the former president. Anyway, good morning, Marianas. It's great to have you back here. Special show today. We've got a lot of interesting stuff that we're talking about today. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is the guests that we have in studio now, because there's a big reunion for the folks who are part of the Peace Corps out here in the Northern Mariana Islands. So many years ago, they are having a reunion this year where there's folks from all over who are joining our community once again, and hopefully reconnecting with all kinds of folks that they got to meet while they were out here initially. And well, we are lucky enough to have some of them in studio with us right now. And I'd like you guys to give a big welcome. Oh, geez, I got to deactivate and reactivate there. Give a big good morning, Marianas. Welcome to our guests, Kurt Barnes and Al Snyder, folks who are out here with the Peace Corps. And I don't know what year you guys got out here in the first place. I know you guys have been decades. I got to know you, Kurt, and this is our first time meeting today. You know, maybe you guys could tell us a little bit about like when you got out here and what it was like.
You want me to go first? Yeah. Well, I graduated from San Francisco State in 1966, and I saw a brochure in the San Francisco State Library, and the brochure had a picture of a curved coconut tree and a island boy climbing the coconut tree, and I thought, well, this is for me. I took the application, mailed it in, and within a week I was accepted into the Peace Corps with no test or anything. And I was assigned to Saipan because of my physical education background.
So, wow. How about you, Al?
Yeah, it was the end of the 1960s, the fabulous, fabled 1960s. Kennedy was gone. Both Kennedys were gone. King was gone. America was bombing the Asian mainland, and it's a time of change. I had just graduated from law school. My wife had taken a master's in reading, and we thought, what next? And the Peace Corps occurred to us. So we joined, came out. I was assigned a desk in the mayor's office, Vicente de Sablan. I also helped in the municipal legislature, Herman Q. Guerrero. So that's how it started. Neither one of us came out with the idea of a micro-Olympics, surely. And we can explain how that began.
Well, yeah, and where were you guys from originally?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I now live in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where are you from again, Kirk?
I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, but I'm in Sacramento, Elk Grove right now.
Wow, and you know, coming out here must have been a calling, you know, joining the Peace Corps and everything, and really giving back, well, to the world, really, when you were out here going. This was the only place that you guys went to, or did you go to other places before you came?
It's the only place we went to.
This was it.
Wow. And there was, I mean, I'm looking at the picture on the website of you guys, of a whole bunch of people. I'm not sure where this photo is. Is this even here? Kind of doesn't look like here. Oh, sorry. Here we go. This is the photo on the NMI Peace Corps 2025 website that we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, what a great place that you got to choose. Of all the places that you could have gone to and been assigned to, you guys picked the right spot for sure. How many years did you end up serving here with the Peace Corps?
2 years, which was typical.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you stuck around longer afterwards too?
We left. I had a fellowship in Europe. We were on the way there. I recall as we flew out after the games, the pilot came on the intercom and announced that we had landed on the moon. I don't think I knew we were trying to land on the moon. So that's how you can fix it in time.
Wow. And I remember when I first got here, I thought it was a long time ago, because when I got here, it was in January of 2003. The gas prices were $1.98 and $2.08, and I thought that was really expensive. It was not long after I'd been here when we started getting actual street signs and street names. But when you guys got here, again, I was reading a little bit about this on some of the other stuff that you got, that the population was like just a fraction of what it is now. And
the population was about 16,000 people.
Wow.
But 50% of them were under 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And another interesting, I don't know if it's interesting, is there was 80 bars on site. 80 bars. I don't drink alcohol, so I'm not worried about that. But these are just facts. There were only 4 restaurants when we arrived here. I think there was Reiko's. She served soba. There was the Style Center, which is a little bit north on Beach Road from Mount Carmel. Hamilton's.
Oh, yep,
and
Hamilton's.
Marianas Hotel, and I think those were the only 4 places to eat. And the only paved road was Beach Road, and all the other roads were corals and big potholes all the time. But there weren't very many cars either at that time.
No kidding. Now, I had definitely heard about not having a lot of paved roads for sure. And I definitely know a thing or two about Hamilton's before it closed, which is too bad because I love that place. But you know, the idea of coming out here back then to see what this place really was like and what the culture must have been like compared to now, you know, it's pretty close to me, like to the mainland. Without all the crazy parts of the mainland, it seems modern enough to me, but I can't imagine when you guys came out here it was anything like it is now.
Well, this comes into play in the Micronesian Games because if you look at the facilities that we had, there were no facilities. We had to do everything ourselves. There was no gymnasium, no indoor gymnasium. So we had there was some cement slabs left over by the military over Kalili Beach, and we had to renovate them we used a combination basketball, tennis on one of the slabs. We held volleyball, 6-man volleyball on grass down at Shalankanoa. Where the track is today is about where the track was then. It was coral, so it was white, and we took discarded motor oil, and we made the lines, took a can and dipped it in and made the lines went around the track.
I remember you telling me that story years ago, and it stuck with me to this day, like what that must have been like going around with that coral track and just using the oil to, not even the new stuff, you need the dark stuff, right? You need the dark, discarded motor oil to be able to see those kinds of...
Well, if you wet it down and roll it and over again, it becomes a really fast track. And it was just like the asphalt road out there. There's no rocks or anything. It was really smooth all the way around.
Was it 69, the first games?
69 was the first one.
Wow. And then there was a gap for a while after that.
There was a lot of political upheavals in Micronesia, and most countries then didn't have the money to take part in that. And then it was revived in 1990. And it's still going today. So we did something right back in 69. So.
Well, you sure did. You started the foundation for something that's lasted decades later and gotten folks to get out and get fit and run around and do all kinds of great things. The events are awesome. My favorite's the Micronesian All-Around. Like, I think that's the great one where you got like all the different events.
Well, this was also the first time they brought in groups of Micronesians and had them be together. It's never been done before. And the High Commissioner at that time called in Felix Verballeman, who was the chairman of the local organizing committee, and David M. Sablon, the finance. I don't know if Al was there. I wasn't there. But the High Commissioner edicted, there will be no problems. I think he was talking about the fights between districts and stuff like that. But no, there was no problem. There wasn't even an argument in any of the competition. Wow. It was so smoothly run. So.
You know, you think about, it would be difficult to start something like that today. But today we also have, like, people have cell phones and social media and the internet and easy to communicate. You don't have to pay $1 million to call somebody long distance if there's a phone line open and all that. How difficult, what was it like to even try to get that together in the first place?
My memory is, when I'd arrived as a lawyer, they assigned me a desk in the mayor's office. And I was sitting at that desk one morning, an oak desk I recall, and Kurt walks in with his referee's whistle as he was coaching and so forth, Peace Corps garb, and he says, Al, what would you think about creating an Olympic Games in Micronesia, which had never been done before, never even conceived of? And as best I remember, I said, sure, why not? But you can imagine the logistical problems we were facing. And we can explain how some of that fell in place. But Kurt and I were talking the other day about the individuals who helped out, Peace Corps, the military even, the expatriate community, and how it came together is still a mystery in its way. You know, I think a couple of years later, a sportscaster used the term, do you believe in magic? At the hockey Olympics game, as you recall, in Lake Placid. And that's what this was. And we all know magic is alive and well in Micronesia, and I'm sure that was a part of it.
We were blessed to have 3 or 4 people in key positions. And if we didn't have any of those 4, I don't know if this would have gotten off the ground. I had Felix Verballeman, who was just voted in as a representative to Congress of Micronesia. And he immediately, and I had been talking to Felix for months and months about this, and he was sold on it. But he went to Congress of Micronesia and started talking to all the district reps and senators and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they bought into it. And then I was the physical education coordinator for the school district, and David M. Sablon, Uncle Dave came to me one day and said, do you need equipment? I said, yeah, does the sun come up in the east? And he said, well, we have all this. He was a Wilson representative for Sporting Goods, AK, and he said, well, we have all this blemished equipment that we can't sell, but we'll give it to you. And one day he calls me up and he says, bring a pickup. You know, I brought a pickup down. It wasn't big enough for all the equipment that he gave us, to bats and balls and gloves, volleyballs, basketballs, footballs, everything. And I talked to him. I said, how about a Micronesian Games? He said, just count me in. And he's the genius in finances and stuff like that. And then, of course, we brought in the General Secretary, Al, and he had the communication skills that we needed.
Well, so like the games that's massive, but like for folks, so like you mentioned like expats in the military, there were a lot of people who were just out here anyway that decided to come out.
Yeah, it was an idea. Obviously, as time had come and people just gravitated towards it. For making the torch, Public Works fashioned this torch out of brass and stainless steel that we used to run down from Mount Olympus, we called it, Tapachow, to the games themselves. For example, the program is still a classic, the Micro Olympics program, designed by Peace Corps volunteers and others. And of course, getting the players to Saipan. How are we going to do that? We didn't know. But eventually we recruited the military, and they did it.
So well, I'm going to tell them the story, Al. You won't speak for yourself, so I'll do it. But Al and Dave Sablon and Felix made a journey to Guam, to Anderson Air Force Base, and they were going to talk to the big colonel there. Anderson, and they were seated in the room. I wasn't there, so, but I know this is true. And they were seated in this room, and in walks the big colonel, and they get up and introduce themselves, and Al goes, "I'm Al Snyder," and the colonel goes, "I know who you are. You don't have to introduce me." He said, "I used to see you play football and baseball at Holy Cross," and Al is enshrined in the Sports Hall of Fames in Holy Cross for both football and baseball.
Wow.
And if that didn't roll out the red carpet and we got the military to fly in the marshals, I don't know if they flew in upon a
I think all, yeah.
And so they really helped us out, saved us a lot of money, which we didn't have. So a lot of little stories like this that has never been told. And I didn't know about this particular story until Al told me about 2 months ago. So.
Man, I love this. When I'm hearing all this, there's so many questions I have. We're not going to be able to fit all of them in here at all, because like the story of the games, putting them together, that's such a massive undertaking on its own. I'm also interested in finding out more about what it was like being in the Peace Corps and what was the how rewarding was it? Telling them about the stories of actually working with folks here, learning. I'm gonna guess a brand new culture coming out here and meeting people for the first time, and how what did you take away with you when you finally left? And you didn't leave for a long time, but even how much of it stayed with you when you moved on and all that. I think it's just a million different stories that I could ask you guys. I don't know what you'd want to talk about most.
Well, I found that you got to keep busy. Also, we were fortunate to come to Saipan, or at least Al and I we came to Saipan. There were volunteers who was sent to Outer Island Pohnpei or Outer Island Marshals. Mm-hmm. And they had to learn to speak the language in that remote island. They had to eat the food that the Outer Island Marshallese ate or wherever they're at. And we didn't have that experience. It's fine with me. I'm a picky eater, so I don't know if I would have made it or not. But we did, I found here on Saipan, stay busy, keep busy. And I did, and that was my motto the whole time. It's always being active in something, starting things or providing programs for people.
But you made this your home.
Well, I've lived here 40 years, so it's still my home, even though I'm not here sometimes, so it's still my home.
How about you?
Yeah, I came back later. I was recruited. I'd gone back, practiced law briefly in Baltimore, and they formed the Micronesian Legal Services Corporation.
Yeah.
Are you aware?
I am.
That was a grant. That was an interesting corporation. Hillary was on the board, I recall, so you can imagine where they were coming from. But I came out for 3 tours in 3 of the cultures, Yap, Pohnpei, and Kushai. So I was here for another 10 years after Peace Corps, then returned to the States.
Wow. So, I mean, this, the culture of being out here in this part of the world is just, it's got to still be a big part of who you are.
I was chewing betel nut last night. I haven't forgotten that taste. Funny thing about the changes, though, we were at Manyagaha and someone offered me a drink in a plastic bottle, and it was tuba, the fermented coconut drink, and they sell it in plastic bottles now.
Wow.
That was not what we did. We drank it raw at the time.
Okay.
But for example, how things have become more regular, shall we say.
And my friend's father is down from the San Antonio side. Before he passed away, when we would go over to their family gatherings, that was one of their regular things. Poc Poc Beach, that's the Camacho family over there. They're famous for their tuba over there. They were just amazing. And you either drink it or then even, they're like, oh no, pour it in your beer, try it that way. I'm like, okay, I'll try it that way too. So.
Yeah, man has always found a way to ferment in all cultures, and this culture surely. Yeah. They connected to bread making, by the way. Bread making needed yeast, alcohol needed yeast, and if you had the one, you often had the other. So that was no doubt true here. So no, of course it's in your blood, either beforehand and you didn't know it, or surely after. And the volunteers who are here with us are having a spectacular time remembering, you know.
Well, I bet, you know, Jean Olapai works up at the school, and she was telling me all about this, like you were messaging me. She was telling me about it also, about how excited that she was about all of this coming back around. Are there, do you know how many people came in as part of the reunion?
15-ish?
About 30. A total of 30 with family members, maybe about 20 return volunteers.
Wow.
There's going to be a Zoom meeting later. They're going to try to draw in those who didn't come to this thing. Yeah. Nothing like it.
I bet. You know,
we took a chance. I mean, we didn't know. End of the 60s, what we're going to do. And we tried this and it worked out.
We have a closing dinner this Wednesday night at the Oud if you want to come down and interview some of the other volunteers.
You can tell I don't eat much, you know, so yeah, maybe that's a great idea, actually.
Free food.
Yeah. It sounds like it'd be wonderful. Definitely would love to come down. I'll get the info from you. It's at the Carolinian Oud on Wednesday night?
Yeah.
What time? Like
6
o'clock.
Micronesian time. Just show up. Yeah, we're with the governor later today, I understood. Governor and legislature.
And the legislature, too.
Oh, get out. That's awesome. Like, I mean, really, the amount of stories that you guys have to have about what it was like when you were out here, it has to be amazing. I mean, just, you guys are out here, I mean, my God, I just did the math real quick. I can't believe 69 was that long ago.
Tell me.
You know, and then to see the cultural differences and everything out here then, and how close people would have been from the war at that time too, right? You know, 25 years removed, not to mention everything that was going on in Vietnam at that time and how big Guam was, and like all the massive amount of B-52s out of Guam back in those days. But here, to be able to have firsthand conversations with people who have vivid firsthand memories about what it was like being here during the Battle of
We were
Saipan.
with Dave Sablon, the famous Dave Sablon, at lunch yesterday. And he was very fluent and outgoing about his experience going into the caves with his father, who was one of the few English speakers at the time. And he said they heard 3 Marines talking outside their cave. And the father recognized what they were talking about. And he went outside the cave and surrendered to these Marines. And the Marines said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm Sablon." He said, "We're looking for you. We need you to translate. Come with us." David remembers all of that, how they survived the shelling. I still don't know how that worked out. I'd heard there was advance warning with leaflets, but he doesn't seem to remember that, so I don't know.
Well, he said he was, I think, what did he say? He was 13 around that time?
He's young.
Yep.
Maybe younger still.
Wasn't very old.
So he, oh, sorry, I just knocked off my own little cable there for a second. But in fact, here, let me do this. That'll probably help a little bit. So one of the things that he told me about, he was trying to describe the cave that he was in and kind of the rough idea. And his son, Steve, did you get to see Stephen? So we were going to try to go out and find those specific caves based on what his dad told us, and just go hiking up around, so like some of the old hash trails and everything. Kind of feel like it's in like the Canatabla area. There's a when you get up there by the Saban, actually it's almost on the way up to Top Chow, but you can see it from Canatabla. There's one of these, there's a coconut grove that splits into 2 directions. We think it's this one on the side of this hill, and getting to it, not going to be an easy way to get there, and it'd be pretty disappointing to get all the way there and find out that's not the right place too.
Well, this had to be a big cave, because I think Dave said there were at least 20 people in this cave, so it was extensive. And they had to dig it by hand, is what he said yesterday.
I've read that they dug bunkers with coconut logs over top, like the London Blitz, but I haven't confirmed that, or where they were, or how they endured the shelling. I don't think they could have endured that. Have you heard that, about their building bunkers in preparation of a shelling?
The locals?
Yeah.
I haven't. But I do know, like, locals who told me, like, in their different villages, they knew where different caves were that they went into. Like, and in San Vicente, over by, if you go in like that is that the Tuturam area? There's an area where you can go out in San Vicente around the corner from the school that'll take you all the way down. There's a way to get down to the beaches on that side. And before it drops off, there is a big sinkhole area, like off to the left, where there's like a cave nobody goes into, but that was definitely one of the caves that a lot of folks.
How long a walk would that be from the village, would you say?
It's not. It's off the side of the road. If you're going down this, I mean, I could show you on like the maps.
But when the first shells began to fly, they could get there readily.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I just don't know where the folks who were living out there were at that time, but I know that it certainly wasn't a neighborhood like the way it is now. But you can definitely see where that cave is.
And of course, sugarcane all around, I assume. They were walking through the sugarcane fields. That was the whole purpose of Saipan for the Japanese, right?
I know Tinian was pretty much a big...
Saipan
right?
they had a railroad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was developed for sugarcane.
So the spot, in fact, there's a big railroad. In fact, I don't know how much you got around back then and how easy it was to get around the island. But
some volunteers blazed a trail up above Saito's headquarters and checked all of that out. They can tell you about that. They knew about it. Yeah.
Wow.
And at that time, there were artifacts everywhere, of course.
And there still are today. It's amazing. So at least to talk about like some of the historical and the sports ties. So the Xterra is it started out in Hawaii, but it's an off-road triathlon series. And we ended up having that here for a number of years. And I helped organize it for a while. And one of our bike trails, the mountain bike trails, got washed out one year. So we had to start digging a new section out by the Wireless Ridge area. And below where Tony Stern's house is and everything, there's a trail that drops you all the way down to where Kingfisher is. So we had to bring the picks and the shovels and everything, get through the red clay and everything. And as we were doing it, just like an old Japanese grenade just drops down right in the middle of us. Like, oh my cow, all right, thank you, welcome for that, appreciate that. Of course, it doesn't go off, but that's enough to make you jump a little bit. But stuff in the caves, there's a guy here, Bill Harwood or Hargrove, he posts a lot online, and he hikes all the time through all these places where there are still lots of stuff in the caves and all that. And there's stuff that you wouldn't have to hike very far to from the Japanese times for sure. There's a real easy one if you guys want to go and check it out on the way down to Lau Lau Bay. And I could dial you in a little bit easier. Once you go past like the initial like Pala Pala sites and you go up around, you'll see where there's like a trail that goes off to the right, like where you could actually park your car or walk in. And you could just park your car there and just 180 degrees on the other side of the road is a little narrow trail and the cave is right there. Walking in, you don't need any hiking stuff. Bring a light though.
Tell me more. I'd like to go.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And it's a walk right in, really easy.
Yeah. And that was used by the Japanese?
Yeah.
I think,
there's a lot, if you want to do like a little bit more hiking, there's like some really good Japanese ones too. But it's a little bit, if it's at all wet, it's not going to be fun to get in there. But the caves that they built. The other ones up north, there's some good ones like above the quarry that still have a lot of artifacts in it. And there's another one that's, all the ones that are a little bit more gnarly are out there just after Bonsai Cliff. There's a fisherman's trail that you can get in there. Still a bunch of stuff there.
I'm going over to Tinian and Rhoda later in the week to look at the Latya stones primarily. But you can hardly miss the legacy of the Enola Gay on Tinian, right?
Yeah. I got lucky being here at the right place and the right time to kind of get, now this is my story, I got you guys here to tell them, I could ask you this, but the Enola Gay. I was here for the 60th commemoration of the Battle of Saipan.
Was Tibbets here for that?
Tibbets was here. I got to meet Paul Tibbets so I got to meet him. I've been to Tinian and been on the runway, the whole complex and everything. And then I got to go to the Smithsonian and see the actual Enola Gay too.
Yeah.
I feel like I got the hat trick on that little piece of history. Oh, and then our family, we went to Hiroshima a couple of years ago to get the real, the other side of everything together. Real powerful stuff.
My son's done the same. He said it was this funny thing, if I can say, about the Dulles, the Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
You may know about this little piece of history where the Japanese were sending balloons, trying to send balloons in the jet stream over America. Do you know that?
Yeah.
And they were using cranberry leaves to make the balloons.
Did not know that.
And then they were using sand from a given beach, which is what led the Allies, based on the sand they found when these bombs when the bags of sand eventually dropped, to find the beach with the sand and bomb the factory where they were making these things.
No kidding.
And you may have heard the only casualties, they were hoping to set forest fires with these incendiary bombs that would drop from the cranberry balloons and would panic the Americans. They'd burn up the far west. The only people who died was a party of Girl Scouts in maybe Idaho or Utah that brought the balloon back to their camp.
Oh, wow.
But but there is one of those balloons at Dulles.
I didn't know.
Yeah, back in the corner. I was just fascinated to see it. They'd obviously liberated one. If you ever get back there, it's phenomenal. Who was thinking that, right?
That is wild.
The jumps in strategy that you're going to burn the U.S.'s and panic the Americans. Yeah. Didn't work.
No, well, I'm glad it didn't work. That's for sure. Wow. A lot of people joining the military back then, not by choice. Right. And I don't think folks like my age and younger could even fathom what that must have been like going through like a draft. You could be in. A lot of the folks maybe here we get to meet a lot of the folks from like Thailand, from Korea, who have that. In Korea, you have commensurate service, or you have to go I think for 2 years. And then the folks in Thailand, they have a draft where it's like a lottery if you get in.
Yeah.
You guys, when you join the Peace Corps, does that become like an alternate?
No.
You're still
not in my case. Actually, I was called up, and the doctor at the end of the process looked at my knee. I'd torn it up playing football.
And baseball, right?
Well, no, this was professional. I was trying to play professional football when I was in law school. And I'd torn it up the first year with the Patriots. And he signed my paper, and I figured I was going to Vietnam, and he sent me out, and they said no. They excluded me.
Wow.
Because of that. So Peace Corps was on top of that, really.
Well, you dodged the bullet. I mean, that's amazing.
I've often wondered
I
would
was
have
drafted,
done.
but I asked to go in the Peace Corps, which wasn't a deferment, but they said, yeah, you can go for 2 years, but when you get out, you will have to serve. And by then, the Vietnam War was over, and there was no more draft, so I ducked under that one. So. And
I've often thought that in the midst of the bombing, and we'd go to Guam on business or something, and you'd see the flatbeds carrying ordnance from the naval port to the north, to the airfields, constantly a parade of bombs going out. And in the midst of all that, they found time to fly Micronesians to the games, which they're to be credited for.
Well, I'm a Army veteran from the 90s, so I linked up with a lot of good guys here. Although my terms of service started with a 1 and ended with a 1 also. Most of these guys are all in the 2000s and all that. But my service is way different than what it must have been like back then. And again, I got to join by choice, right? It wasn't under the, the meat grinder time was what everyone was calling it,
People were in the streets for that reason. They didn't want to go, understandably, as it turned out.
back in the early 40s for World War II, my father was exempt from the draft because I'm an identical triplet, and the military exempted him because he had to take, my mother had to take care of three boys, and that exempted him. But as in 1944, as they were getting ready to invade Japan, they did call him up, or they did start the process of drafting them and calling them up. But then the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki took care of that. They didn't have to invade Japan. It would have been a bloodbath if we invaded Japan. It would have been horrible.
Well, yes, but just the idea of what the world was like back then, and try to come up with anything. You guys still got to go to another place and experience a totally different life in your young adult years, to be able to come out to this part of the world and do some real good. And so what were some of the things that you really got to do that, aside, were you a lawyer right from when you first got out here?
Yeah, it was a group. All districts had young lawyers out of law school. The story is that we didn't behave well in general. Again, the end of the 60s, when a lot of lawyers were not buying into the man, so to speak. So they terminated the program, the lawyer program. Not long after, I'm told. But we got the Micro Olympics in, so.
You know, I never understood, and I never drilled down and asked why, but when we were enlisting, they ask you a million different questions and all that other stuff. And they specifically, I remember asking if you were in the Peace Corps. And I didn't know if there was a reason for that in particular, if maybe that you had experience going to other places, but it was one of the list of things that we had to do in the paperwork.
And if you answered yes, I wonder what the result was.
Yeah, me too. I never understood it, but it wasn't, maybe they had asked, have you ever traveled? What list of countries that you've ever been gone to?
Peace Corps specifically, I think Peace Corps, even today, is sometimes suspect for its ideals. And that may run counter sometimes to political interests. That could have been it. I don't know.
Well, I remember seeing the commercials and hearing the commercials and all that, but I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, but I don't see the ads for it anymore. And I wasn't even sure if the Peace Corps was still around, but it turns out that it is. I don't know if it's as active.
Well, I would think that if somebody answered that question affirmatively, there would be some follow-up questions, conscientious
how did you behave,
and stuff like that.
Is the Peace Corps alive and well? I haven't followed the news.
Me too. So
you don't have to look it up, but I've heard a story that there was a visit. I haven't heard. What's going on?
I think Peace Corps sending volunteers into Palau next year.
Good. So I've got the website. It says Peace Corps volunteers put their purpose, passion, and skills to work in partnership with host communities in more than 60 countries. So it says browse opportunities. So it's still happening.
Alive and well. Good.
That's what it looks like to me. It looks like there's 29 results. Here's some of the countries just at a quick scroll through: Nepal, Zambia, Ghana, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, Nepal, Ghana, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Albania. They're all over the place. Montenegro, Kosovo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess the program's ended here with the change of status, largely. When CNMI was born, Peace Corps wrapped it up. But had a good run from the early 60s. Soon after Kennedy set it up.
So where is, I would imagine what my answer would be, but is this like a badge of honor that you carry around with you, saying that you're part of the Peace Corps and you're doing some great work around the world?
If it comes up, I guess,
Yeah, I don't understand the reason for that question, but there has to be a reason.
You mean for the paperwork thing, for the military stuff, or just this one?
Well, asking if you were in the Peace Corps.
Oh yeah.
There had to be a reason for it, but to me it can't be good.
Yeah.
Maybe you're digging latrines all day or something.
Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe it was. So I thought maybe it could have been a medical thing, like maybe you're in an area where they had like dengue or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Or maybe you speak a different
TB
language
or something.
a language that they want also.
Sure. Maybe. But one of the most rewarding things that you've done, would you say, being a part of it?
Beyond that, almost, just, part and parcel of your life. How else would we have spent those years? And I had the 10 I did as a legal services lawyer, but sure. The American style of life is what it is, but I guess it may not be as appealing as it would have been if we hadn't served in Peace Corps and seen another way to live. Yeah.
How about you, Kurt?
I think just being accepted by the community, and I had a skill set that nobody else had, and I shared it, and I didn't lord over anybody. We worked together to run sporting activities and leagues and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, Kurt Barnes is a central figure in all of Micronesia sport, all districts, all cultures, Palau, the many places he worked. And known for that, and appreciated for that. Plus, what I call Kurtopedia, his memory of the detail of sports and other things is beyond compare. You've talked to him, right?
I've got his book.
Yeah.
It's The Legends of Micronesia.
Yeah.
It's great.
And Al's in it. He's a legend in Pohnpei because they have softball games, and he had 1 million home runs over it. I will tell you how far that fence is out there, but nobody else had home runs.
The Spanish Wall.
Yeah, the Spanish Wall. He had home run after home run after home run. Everybody wanted Al on their team in Pohnpei. Besides, he played shortstop, and he was a great defender too.
Is that what you played when you were playing ball at Holy Cross? Shortstop?
Outfield, I guess. We went to the World Series, actually. Believe it or not, this little school would represent New England at the Omaha, World Series.
Al also played for the Baltimore Colts, too, and just before he came out here.
That was my law school days, trying to play, but I was Julian Edelman, I was not. But no, that was the 4 years I was in law school.
I've seen the picture of the 1 year of the Baltimore Colts, and there's Al, and right behind him is Johnny Unitas, so he was part of that team. Though.
What did you play?
Pass receiver, punt returner, that sort of thing, yeah.
So
Don Schuler was the coach.
Schuler.
Wow, what a team. Those guys were great. Was that...
the big years were before that, the champions, the greatest game ever played, that was 58 or 9, and I joined later. But my graduation, I'd gone to Boston College Law when I was with the Patriots, then University of Maryland Law, so I was going nights and summers. Well, when I was injured, I was going full time. But the end of my law school coincided with the end of football. And we decided, my wife and I decided to try something else.
You made the right choice.
We came out and met Kurt. The rest, I want to stress that day in the office, at my desk at the mayor's office, neither one of us, of course, when we came out, had been recruited. Why don't you go out and make a Micro Olympics or help out? He just walked into my office and said, "What do you think?" I said, "Sure."
I had been turned down by a lot of people. No, you can't do that. We can't do that. There's no way we can do that. And I finally found 4 people, and they were all key people. I mean, it took a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It took Peace Corps volunteers in every district.
It seems magical now.
Yeah, it wasn't just
against all odds. I mean, how do you, with Kurt, I thought, sure. But it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, and how do you, again, coordinating with everybody? I mean, how much of it was a phone call? How much of it was...
I went out to the districts. That was part of my job as secretary. Sent out questionnaires. We had members on the committee, one from each district, as well as specialists like Dave Sablon. Felix was the chair. He was the perfect chairman in unifying people from the districts, you know, and getting the attitude right. It was remarkably, I'll say smooth, but just remarkably unimpeded.
Oh, we had the top people in the districts. Dr. Jack Halkana from the Marshals. It doesn't get any better than him. Natsa Siren from Chuuk. Kozo Yamada from Ponape. Tony Tawai from Palau.
Wow. You know, I got, I'm popping this up on my other screen just because there's so many people who have reached out with some things. So I thought this was a good question that came in from one of our viewers. Said, do you think you changed the island or did the island change you?
The Micro Olympics, of course, was Micronesia-wide. But in terms of our individual experience, I'm sure Kurt particularly had an influence on sport here that continues to today. And he could describe that.
I think...
it was an interaction.
I think we changed. It was a two-way street, but I think we changed Micronesia because a lot of the new skill, or the skills they'd never seen before, started low, and then like playing volleyball the correct way. Before that, it was jungle ball, throw the ball and stuff like that. And then they got into setting and bumping and spiking, and that's what we brought with us in every sport. So.
And as I remember with Kurt or whoever, it was always a relationship of equality. There was no sense of we have something to give you. It was always a shared communality.
You know, we got another one. This is Michael McElroy. He says, my father was the deputy director of the Peace Corps. It was on Chuuk and Saipan from 67 to 70. Does that name ring a bell?
What's the name?
McElroy?
Was it
or McElroy?
McElroy?
It's either McElroy or McElroy.
Yeah, he was here a little after us. Tom Zinka.
He was the district director versus the headquarters national?
It says deputy director.
Jesse McElroy,
He was the Jerry Fight after Jerry Fight.
Okay.
So he was just for the Marianas.
Yeah, McElroy once chastised me for riding a motorcycle with Zoris. He was the kind of man you could not, to tell his son, he was not the kind of man you'd say no to. Although I might have when he wasn't watching. He was a good director. But we also had the national director here. He was a journalist. And we had a Typhoon Gene. And I remember helping write the report to summarize the damage. And he reviewed my work. But he'd have been a journalist. So the national office and the district office were cheek by jowl here, if you can picture that. So he was administering all the what were called districts then.
I've heard of Gene. That must have been a big one then.
Hall of Fame, along with what you've had. YouTube and Sadalur recently. Yeah.
Well, I also heard of Kim. Was that mostly was that here or?
Pamela was here. I wasn't here for Sodar or YouTube. I was here for the rest.
You were here for those?
For both, yeah. I was the public information officer for the utilities.
Where did you hunker down at the?
So I was 4 years married with 2 kids at home and playing cowboy, staying at the Emergency Operations Center while I left them at home. And we had windows broken in every room of that house except for the room they slept in. And, but I was there all night, reporting all night, on doing our social media stuff for them.
Yeah.
The whole night through, and then delivering the reports, and then being on the radio every day, or just about. Wow. So that was 2015. 2018, the world changed a little bit, and I got a DOD job as public affairs with Joint Region Marianas out of Guam, but I was here. Our office was here. And so I was here for that, and so I'm like, well, I'm not doing this again. You guys we're getting a room at the Hyatt, and you're staying there, and I'll go out and do my stuff, but I'm not leaving you guys home ever again for something like that. And then it was all about all the coordination. We had all the military, we had like mobile desalinization plants out here. We had clearing stuff all over the place, the massive amount of waste from all the tin and the green debris and all that, and giving updates on all that kind of stuff. So that was a heck of an adventure.
Did the eye pass over in either case? Do you remember?
So I can tell you, so the eye for Sotelure cut right through the middle of the island. It was so powerful, but it was such a small storm. U2, on the other hand, I'll show you. This is worth me pulling up.
You have
to
not
show.
seen this.
Oh, you have?
I have not. I'd like to, yeah.
The size, and so U2 was the second strongest storm to ever hit U.S. soil. The one that was the strongest before that was 1935. I think it was Florida.
Stronger than the Florida.
It was Florida, but 1935 at the time, at least in 2018. Yeah. All right, super typhoon U2. I know you guys got somewhere to go, but wait till you see. I'll just pull up the images first, just so you can see what this looks like. It is nothing short of almost horrific when you look at how big this is. Let's open this up on the full screen.
We're talking U2 now, or Sotelure?
This is Sotelure. U2, sorry, this is U2. Sotelure, again, was compact. And let's see, this is not the best version of it, because it's not the biggest version of it, but the eye encompassed the entire island of Tinian and the southern part of Saipan. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can't get a bigger one of those for you. But it was, I have my coin that I got from my admiral from that, and that's the whole back part of the coin is that radar picture.
Islands, you say?
Yeah, it covered all of Tinian. This is a bigger one here. Let's see if it'll look as big when we pop it up on the other screen. Voice of America, boom. There you go. You can see all of Tinian.
Can you see the islands? Oh my God, look at that.
So it was roaring for like 8 hours, like even the next day. So we were hunkered down in the hotel. You can imagine, like we did that because we had a tin roof house, but like a semi-concrete, but the roof was tin, and I didn't want to chance it. No. So we go to the hotel, and it's a big hotel. It's a concrete structure. You could feel it shaking.
They put plywood up in the windows, or just leave the windows?
At the hotel, they just left it open. Yep. And then that was a wild night. The kids and my wife slept through it. I did a couple of live videos to see it, and you could see when it changed direction. Wake up the next morning, and it's still going crazy. I mean, it's not as bad, but that would still be the way it was in the morning. It was still strong enough where it was still a typhoon. It just wasn't the super typhoon, the massive winds that we had. We had to go out and about. We had to go survey the airport. There were a bunch of people who were here to do an Ironman, a half Ironman, and they just happened to be here from Guam. There were two guys that certify airports readiness. They were here to do the triathlon. So we hopped in my pickup, and on the way up to the airport, because we had already been having a little huddle with the military guys here about what the next course of action was in the morning. And on the way up to the airport, we stopped by my house. House was fine. All my neighbors lost their roofs except for ours.
You kept your roof?
Yep.
Wow.
And it was wild. And my dogs were fine too. I mean, everything was fine. But holy cow, my whole neighborhood lost it. Then we go up the hill to the airport, like right up the hill to the airport. It was in Azlito, right around the corner from Saipan International School. Go up to the airport, and we're dodging everything. I mean, like everything is down. The main airport road, you can't.
Power lines.
Power lines, trees, everything. I mean, you're going off the roads because you can't be on the road.
Live lines, or do they shut it?
Oh, it is all shut down. Everything was totally shut down. When they do that, they shut it down in advance.
Sure.
And then they close all the water too, because we learned in 2015 what happens is that if you've got line leaks, all your reservoirs are going to empty out. So we close off the water. We tell everybody to seal, to fill up your bathtubs, fill up your bottles, and then afterwards we'll do this stuff, because when trees go down, they uproot lines and all that stuff. So we go up there, we take them onto the runway, and you just see the devastation up there. And the winds were even faster there because there's nothing to slow it down. The eye wall just passed right over, but that's where our house is. Our house is part of the eye wall right there. I mean, like, it was just absolutely.
So you felt it pass over, the pause, or do you recall?
Yeah, because I was in Garapan at the Hyatt over the night. There was a little lull, but then you could actually see the change of the direction of the wind too.
Yeah.
And boy, you know what? That's worth going back and finding on my personal Facebook page, going back 7 years to see the video of both. You know, and Hyatt had generator power, so there is light where you can actually see it, and how fierce it was, and the sound, the roar of that thing.
Out of the southwest, the winds, I suppose.
Well,
Southeast.
on the second part, so you can see, I mean, as it was coming over, it was coming over from, it's coming down from the southeast of us, right? And then after it goes, then you're getting hit from the other direction.
Sure.
And this island, there was nothing, there wasn't a leaf left. And so, I mean, everything was just blown off.
Coconuts down?
Everything down.
Yeah.
I can't impress upon you enough.
Breadfruit, all of it.
Those big ironwood trees were knocked down.
All over. So like so in 2015 for Sodalore, you know, the EOC is just past the intersection where Toyota was, the AK, which was probably Microl back then when you guys were here, but is where our emergency operations center was for CUC. And after the howling went through around 3 o'clock in the morning, about like 3:30, we tried to get out, and all those ironwoods were snapped. And we were walking with cars behind us to see if they couldn't get through, or our trucks. What our power guys ended up doing is taking the big straps, attaching them to the truck and the trees to drag them, because there's nothing you could do. And then it was wild. I have a lot of great photos and some videos. You know, what impressed me was that, so I'm from Buffalo, New York originally.
Snow.
Yes. But when
lake effect.
Very much so. And it's like, people think it's cold, but it's the snow. And when there's a big storm that comes through and everybody gets socked, how everybody works together. Yeah. The whole community comes together. Same thing happened here. Like, it was like after, like in the mainland, after September 11th, how people didn't beep at each other, you know, when you're going down the road. People were letting people merge. There was no road rage, and that's my takeaways from my memories back then. And that's what it was for this. People working together, all these guys who, like the utility guys who had their trucks go out, they were cutting lines that were like hanging out in the streets from broken power poles. Anybody who had a chainsaw was going out there to help cut those trees to get them out of the way, just to get stuff moving right away. It was all hands on deck. Whether you're getting paid, not getting paid, you were just out there doing your part for the island.
That's the way the
and it was just,
it is.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All hands on deck. That was the Micro Olympics. Come to think of it, to bring it full circle. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you guys were doing you guys changed the whole face of sports and athletics out here.
Yeah, I doubt any one person or two people. Yeah, no, but the total effect, the total cooperation, the Micronesian energy and interest, everyone was ready for something like that. Yeah. Well,
I'll tell you what, I know you guys had other stuff. I do too. Actually, I'm heading next door to the high school. I'm going to be going with one of my colleagues in the media here, and I'm going to talk to some kids about how you treat the news and how you can evaluate the message that's coming out. If it's what are the facts, what seems to be opinion that's in there, what are the sources that folks are using, and finding out more about, like, so you know why it's written the way it's written, so you can formulate your own opinion and not just be fed something.
Doing a good interview is not easy. You learn that. You see a lot of bad ones. You know, you realize, I sympathize.
That's great. Well, I'm really thankful to have you guys in here today. This was really great.
Yeah, if you can get some of the other volunteers in, I don't know how you would do that, but.
Maybe I'd contact Gene.
All right, yeah, the only day that I'm going to be unavailable is Wednesday, and I'm waiting to find out about Friday.
Yeah.
The Wednesday morning, I'm just not going to be able to do it. I've got a very full morning for that. But in the afternoons and stuff like that, that's a different story.
We'll pass the word to the organizers. Maybe they can get up with you. Yeah, because our experience with the Olympics was so particular, so peculiar. So the other Peace Corps experiences, living in households, you could gain a lot. Well, thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Really, this is great for our community to be able to hear from you guys, and it was great for me to hear from you guys more than anything. Just seeing the other thing, Luisa said, we were in the eye, and I'll never forget how quiet it got. It was eerie. Yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. I want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. I want to say thanks to both of you guys for coming in.
Anytime.
It was our pleasure. We're really glad to be here.
Thanks, Al. Thank you, Kurt. How long are you guys here?
Another week or so.
Great.
We both have, an extended
I leave
time.
on the 7th of May. I'm staying a little longer.
We both have family here, so,
I heard about the bonsai charge that was in Tanapa. There was that was like the last one where the Japanese, they used everybody they had. They picked up even guys without weapons, whatever they had. The folks who were injured, and they did everything they could in that last bonsai charge.
Is any of that visible? Probably not today.
No, but I think it wouldn't be hard to find exactly where it was. But they've had folks come out here from Japan, the repatriation of remains and stuff like that. They marked all those sites, so it would be pretty easy to identify.
There's a series of hundreds, it seems, documentaries by these three military-related guys called The Unofficial History of the Second World War, and they cover the charge in great detail. And I think they spent 3 days on the Saipan invasion. So I was listening to it. The most horrific thing with the children, women, faux weapons, they were being driven by the military, where the commander, Saito, said, I'll be with you. And of course he wasn't. He ended his own life. You have it.
I know these guys. I've been watching them recently.
Seen them? Yeah.
I haven't seen them cover this one, but I have been watching them do a lot of things so far.
It's the third one where they go into great detail about how they organized it. The soldiers were drinking with their samurai swords, and they pushed the civilians ahead of them.
Wow.
And the commander never showed up, Saito.
Before you go, this will be the last thing, although I feel like I'm stretching this out. I don't mean to.
We're good.
Let me go. I'm going to grab this photo I have in the other room that I picked up online, of all places, of Saipan. And nobody can hear me there except for you guys.
We'll hum to keep the audience.
I haven't hung this up yet. But on the back of it, and these guys I'll have to show them later.
Whoa.
This is an actual photo from here that I bought online. I had it shipped out here. This looks like it overlooks the invasion beaches here in Saipan.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Look at the coloration. What do you think that is? Oil?
Oh, yeah.
Burning or something?
Well, it looks like something, like maybe one of those landing crafts that were trying to come in.
Yeah.
Got hit.
There were 4 colored beaches on Chalankano's side, right? Something like that?
I'll show you guys a little. You're not going to be able to make this out, but this is the photo that I'm talking about with these guys. It's going to be, but in fact, it's a little dusty. I put it back in its little safe space over there. But yeah, like, so there's like the original photos from like the like Life magazine and all that kind of stuff that are available. So I got to snag one of these things.
Keep up the good work.
Well, it sounds like you did all the good work before us, laying the foundation for it. All right. Well, all right. Let me say thanks to everybody who's watching and wrap up. Thanks again. Really
Absolutely.
Let me give you my card before you guys go.
Thanks, Brett.
Normally, I'd be doing this during a commercial break, but we're still rolling, so.
Maybe see you at the Goods. If you
Yes.
can make it. Interview the others.
I will.
Dude,
Thank you. All right, folks. I know that was an interesting change in stuff to to do here, the way we transitioned just now. But wow, it was that was a heck of an interview. These guys, I could talk to them so much more. I'm actually going to be going to Marianas High School late, so I give you my my apologies now to Miss Robin Spaeth and at least the first of the classes that we'll be speaking with. We're going to be meeting with 3 different classes today, and we'll get there. So hold on. Yep. So I'll be there. I got to actually take off and leave for that now. Want to say thanks to all you guys. It's been a heck of a morning, and we got a lot more going on. So we'll see you guys for more of the show tomorrow here on the NMI News Service. Wow, what a show. What a great day. Great way to wrap up. All right, have a great day. Oh, you got it. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. We'll see you all over again.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings. To Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news. From a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on Good Morning, Marianas.